y'all trying to cancel Madam Joyce. Come on now. Come on now. Cancellation? No. A call out. You know. A tap on the hand. You know. Excuse me, girl. You know. Hi. Welcome to my channel. My name is Tanika and I am full of energy today. My channel focuses on fashion, travel, beauty, and a lot of yapping. Today's video, we're going to be yapping about Madam Joyce. Madam Joyce, my sister in Christ. She had a little bit and a lot of it to say about Kendrick Lamar and Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl halftime performance. Now,
I come to watch the Super Bowl to watch a performance. I didn't come to think. I don't want to feel like I'm reading a book. I just want to dance. I don't want to watch a performance and then have to read a book to understand what the performance was about, okay?
Let me just say this. First of all, I'm working on my lashes, okay? So I'm letting y'all know I'm in the closet confessions, okay? And I'm letting my lashes marinate. I love Madam Joyce. I'm not gonna like, Madam Joyce is a cackle. Like, I low-key live for her. Like, I low-key live for Madam Joyce. It's no shade. Like, she's a cackle. Like, she really seemed like she built herself up and she really got where she needed to be and she did what she needed to do on the strength of pop culture. I live for her. It's no shade. I watch her podcast. I like her. I enjoy her. And she is a cackle. But, my God, this is a message for the entire diaspora. I know I stay in everybody in the diaspora's business, but African Americans, Black Americans don't stay in nobody's business. Black Americans don't know nothing about nobody else. It's no shade. Black Americans be minding their own Black American business. To the extent they say something about Tyler, that's because Tyler done knocked on the Black Americans' door and on the Black American radio. The Black Americans don't know what's going on. So why? Why do y'all keep knocking on the Black Americans' door? I don't know why. Listen, we mostly are of West African descent, Nigerian descent, Ghanaian descent, Congolese, Angolan descent, etc. We're not to be played with. We're not to be, guys, don't knock. And the reason why, and I'm gonna be so real when I say this, let me make sure these lashes, I'm gonna be so real when I say this. The reason why you should not knock on Black Americans' door is not because we're vicious, we're going to attack, we're going to read, we're going to do this. It's because we command so much social capital online by virtue of being an American that we're going to drag the situation. Do you understand? Like, we don't necessarily have an analysis that one of the main reasons why we are the focal point in a lot of these conversations is because America itself, Western culture, is largely exported around the world, and Black American culture is American culture, but a lot of Black Americans don't recognize that, right? We live in isolation, so we don't know that all this chatter is happening. I know because I be in the diaspora business, but a lot of Black Americans don't know that, right? And so to see people say things that are anything but complimentary, you're going to trigger a response out of Black Americans. You can mean it, and I listen, I do not think she meant it in shade. I listened to it, I don't think she meant it in shade. I think she was having like her blind dinky moment. She was like, I wanted to have a blind dinky moment. Like, I wanted to watch the Super Bowl, and I didn't want to feel anything. I just wanted to feel vibes. I wanted to feel like, and I totally understood it. But I also knew when I heard that she said that, I knew that it was going to be backlash. Because one thing Black Americans do not play about is when there is a message. Listen. Black Americans do not play about being Black. Ever. That is a cornerstone of who we are. I know Black Americans who go and when they fill out the customs form and they ask them what is their nationality, they put Black America. Listen, This is the wrong group of people. Our entire culture and ethos is built around being prideful, around being black. Literally. And fighting anything that diminishes that. Listen, are there black Americans that understand that black British people are black globally and racially? Yes. People understand that. But when I tell you, I see this every single day on TikTok, people will delve into tribalism at the first sign of tension. Like, as soon as a black American feels like and knows that you're British, and all of a sudden you're attacking or you're saying something unfavorable about a black American, oh, it's a retreat. Now, it's us versus them. You're talking bad about us. You're British. You don't understand it. Like, that is the number one defense. And so you're never going to win if you're not saying anything complimentary. And so in that regard, I just think Madam Joyce, she just stepped into a puddle that she didn't know that it was a puddle. I think she really thought these are her people. She showed that these are her people. She's a fan of Kendrick Lamar. She doesn't have to defend being a fan of Kendrick Lamar. She's black, they're black, we're black. You know, we're all in community. She can say, you know what? I kind of didn't want to do all that and I didn't want to get a political analysis. I didn't want to turn my brain on. That's what she was trying to give. But that's my defense of Madam Joyce. Let me put these lashes on while hold on, because y'all know I can't put the lash on and I'm talking mess at the same time. Okay. All right. So one thing that people don't realize is there's a part of African American culture that is, you know, very, very widely accepted, even though it's problematic, and that is academic and intellectual elitism. Yes. If you decide to come barking down this road and you don't have all your facts together, they're going to back you all the way up with so many historical and intellectual facts that your head is going to spin. It's just bound to happen. And I just think it was a mistake that Madam Joyce made. She literally made a mistake. And the mistake was, you cannot come online and bring an anti-intellectual take to African Americanness. You cannot. It's not going to, they're not going to accept anybody. It doesn't matter if it was another African American, but you just made it even worse. And then you got my black British sisters online fighting for their life. They're like, we are not Madam Joyce. We are what, how did we, and now it's all black British people don't have an analysis. Black British people don't have a backbone. Guys, come on now. Come on. These are our sisters and brothers. Now, come on now. Madam Joyce said what she said. You know, listen, I know Shits and Gigs also, they stepped into, it's a few, listen, it's not a perfect diaspora, but it's a diaspora, okay? We should be able to call each other out and say what we have to say. Madam Joyce has to understand when something is very intellectual and it is so many meanings and it's so much symbolism happening, you just have to zip it. Just don't say anything. You chose to speak when you could have said nothing. Right? What happened to shame? What happened to, I don't get it, let me go research it? What happened to, it's outside of my realm of understanding, let me be a little demure about it and go figure it out, do my research, circle back, and then understand? You get what I'm saying? I think that was one of the main, like, criticisms of Madam Joyce. It's like, have some shame around something that you don't know. I understand that people internalize, they import, you know, Black American culture globally because, you know, our reality shows, people can quote Nene Leakes. You know, these are people that can quote 10, 15 celebrities, rappers from the United States. Our music is global. It's played on their radio stations. Like, there is so much Americana, and yet it is still very surface level. And so it can give someone like Madam Joyce the illusion that she knows a lot about African Americanness. And I would venture to say that Madam Joyce probably does know more about African Americanness than the average Black American knows about Black Britishness. You get what I'm saying? And I think literally, I don't think that has anything to do with intellect. I think it has everything to do with the exportation of culture, right? I think culture is being exported globally, our culture specifically. And so people feel an affinity and an affection, and they feel like they know enough to critique. And I would caution against that. I would caution against that. Because there are things that Black Americans don't know about Black Americanness. Right? Like, it is so layered. It is so deep. There are so many meanings. And we kind of demand from our celebrities this, like, culture of belonging, this culture of signaling your culture, right? Like, there's some people who critique, you know, Kendrick Lamar and will say that, oh, he was being radical. I don't think he was being radical at all. Right? And that was kind of the undertone of Madam Joyce, was like, oh, it's a political meaning. I didn't want to have I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I wanted a reprieve from the politics. Listen, I get it. I would like a reprieve too, but I can't. I'm Black in America. I don't know what to tell you. You know what I'm saying? I want to close my eyes and just listen to the music as well. So I understood where she was coming from, but it's at the same time, it's like, in order for you to be popular in America as a Black artist, you need to be popular within the Black American subculture. In order to be popular within the Black American subculture, you have to have extreme talent. Okay, we don't do mediocrity like the rest of those girls. You have to have extreme talent, and you have to constantly signal that you understand culture, right? And Kendrick Lamar does this really well. I think Beyonce does it really well too. I am in the Beehive, and the girls are hating on Beyonce. I think because she's a woman and, you know, she's light skinned, and maybe I'll do a video on that. But I think the girls are really hating on Beyonce. But I think Kendrick Lamar and Beyonce do a lot of similar things, obviously in different ways. And that's just who we are. It's not about being radical. It's like other people are allowed to get on stage and talk about their culture and use drums from their culture and use flags from their culture and use signals and signs and historical figures from their culture. Black Americans do the same thing. That doesn't make them radical. That just makes them Black. And I think that's the thing that probably Madam Joyce doesn't understand, that nuance, right? Like, she was missing that nuance. In her probably Black British cultural upbringing and understanding, I think one of the things that she probably missed was that, like, there is a thing in Black British culture where there is, like, a politic. There is a, like, you know, you can be politicized, you can be radicalized, and radicalness is not always a part of Black British culture. But that doesn't say it doesn't exist, because it absolutely does in Black British culture, right? Like, there were Black British civil rights leaders. There were Black British people, especially from the Windrush generation, primarily of Jamaican descent, who have consistently organized and fought back. And even to this day, fighting back against the gentrification happening in Brixton, in Hackney, in so many places. And I'm not saying a lot of Black Americans know this. I just happen to know it because I'm a little bicontinental, you know. I be always in the UK all the time, right? And so I happen to know that there is a strong culture within the Black British community, but the Black British community also, I would say, is overwhelmingly second and third generation immigrant. And so a lot of people within the Black British community, they claim other countries. People don't recognize that in America, 90% of the Black people in America are multi-generational African American, right? Like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 generations, and descendants of slaves within America, people who were enslaved, in America. And then the other 10% are from the Caribbean, who also experienced and are descendants of people who are enslaved, but very much of a different quantity, a different context, in Jamaica, in Grenada, in St. Lucia, in St. Vincent, in different parts of the Caribbean, Haiti, etc. Also Afro-Latinas, Cuban people, Afro-Cubans, people from Honduras, Dominican Republic, etc. And also people who immigrated first, second, and now we're seeing a third wave, third generation from the African subcontinent. And that population is much smaller than people understand. And it is primarily in major cities. And I don't think people recognize that while that immigrant population does play a critical role, and they have contributed significantly to African American culture, it is not the same as Black British culture. And so I think there is a base level of understanding that we all kind of have about blackness globally and in the diaspora. And I'm sure Madam Joyce will understand this as a second generation black Brit who I believe her parents are from Nigeria. I know she just went through a whole kerfuffle, stufuffle, shamuffle. Okay, in Nigeria, that's none of my business. I am not qualified in any way to speak on that. I was looking at from the sidelines. I was rooting my sister on. You know, high profile. Get your bag and do what you need to do. Again, I'm a Madam Joyce girl. Okay, I watch her. I live for her. She does what she does. But I think it's just different, right? And what I want from us moving forward is no shade. Y'all trying to cancel Madam Joyce. Come on now. Cancellation? No. A call out. You know. A tap on the hand. You know. Excuse me, girl. You know. You're my girlfriend, right? Like, we're all capable of doing things that are not a good look. We're all capable of misspeaking. You know, it's something that I will want to be done for me. It's something that I will want somebody to pull me aside and say, you know what, that's not actually factually correct, or, you know, given the historical context, yada, yada, yada. I think especially in this political climate that we find ourselves in America, where a lot of racial minorities, specifically Black Americans, but also Latinos, trans folks, women, like so many people are just under a tremendous amount of stress and strain trying to figure out what the next move is. I think we're all just like, we would love for our sisters and brothers in the diaspora to offer us just a little bit more emotional support and understanding, and seek to understand rather than being critical. You know what I mean? Like, I really think that's all it is. And also, at the time of me recording this video, I just watched, literally like 2 hours ago, Madam Joyce apologized. She was like, I really didn't get it. It's no shame. And I think that's what it's about. I think that was what she needed to say. She said, I really didn't get it. I live for y'all. I love my, you know, Black American supporters. I didn't know I really had that many that was like, you know, and she just said what she needed to say. All the like coming for her and her looks and her this, she's a beautiful girl. Like, we're not going to go there. That's unnecessary. Dragging her and making it seem like just by virtue of being Black British that somehow she has a deficiency or she's incapable of understanding. Like, we gotta cut that out. That we gotta cut out. Like, that's such an unnecessary anti-diaspora take that we have to learn to disagree and it not always be at the core of our identity. You know what I'm saying? Like, she said what she said. It was a bad take. She walked it back. She apologized. It is what it is. We watch Madam Joyce. Now, my sister, if she does it again, now, and she might, listen, this here is the internet. Okay, people yap. It might happen, you know? She talks about hot topics. It is what it is. So I just want to make sure that she, you know, she gets it. She seems like she gets it. And we in her audience understand, like, she's just not going to understand every single thing. But I'm glad y'all tapped her on her hand and told her, sister, that what we're not going to do is come for the historical, geopolitical situation. That's what we're not going to do. I know you wanted to bop, but you can bop and be substantive as well. Okay? Bury that. All right. If you made it this far, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.